Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I want to take you through, there's a bunch of people out there that talk about how you can get rid of your child support case. They're mostly talking about the administrative proceeding. Administrative law judges are not voted in by we the people. They're not part of a court system that we created in the judicial branch, we the people. They're an administrative agency, Division of Child Support, usually under DSHS. Administrative agencies like the CIA, FBI, IRS, CPS, Homeland Security were created by the government. And they have an administrative code. So the administrative judicial branch said, oh, we're going to create Social Security, Title 4D, all this other stuff. And we the people didn't vote for it and didn't ask for it. So it's not the will of we the people. So it's unconstitutional to have an administrative law judge who you didn't vote in take your money. Violation of 14th Amendment. You have a right to life, liberty, and property. It can't be taken from you without due process. So your property, your money is taken from you in order to be transferred to somebody else by some administrative law judge, a collection agency, an administrative. You have a collection agency. If you're behind on your Verizon bill, they can't order the SWAT team to go in and take money from your safe. They have to collect it and maybe get a judgment and garnish your wages. They have to go through the due process to even do that. So this is, that's Lionel from Child Support is Fraud. Now, about everything he says is true, but he's not clear a lot of times that this only applies to Division of Child Support. Some of the stuff that he says carries over, but for the most part, he's talking about Division of Child Support. And in his own case, when he talks about, I challenge the summons, I challenge the proof of service. Okay, what happens when they get the proof of service right? Now what? Well, after he went through all that stuff, in the end, the kid wasn't even his. Is that your case? Do you have an argument for the kid not being yours? If not, then all the stuff he's saying doesn't apply to you for the most part. You can fight it off, proof of service and all this other stuff. Then if it's an administrative law judge in Division of Child Support, you can make it go away because really the entire family court system is unconstitutional. I can make a whole argument for that. But these guys and other people like them are not telling you that it's only the administrative. You have the courthouse where you have criminal cases prosecuted and a prosecutor, and then you have civil courts and you have judges that are voted in. Then you have this building that they have an administrative law judge for Division of Child Support, and they mail stuff off to you, and you're not served properly with a process server in person most of the time. It's just mailed to you. And they do whatever they want. And actually, this guy talks about challenging service because they served him and he wasn't home that day. There's rules about service where you can serve somebody if they're not home and you leave it with an adult that lives there. Or there's some states that say if Division of Child Support sends certified mail, and even if it's rejected, it's still an attempt on service, so they consider it service because they created their own rules for that bullcrap. And there's a lot of guys who got Division of Child Support orders and they defaulted on them. So anyway, that's him. But it turned out that the kid wasn't even his. That's how he won. That's really the crux of his win. All the other stuff was minutia stuff that he won a little battle here, won a little battle there. But eventually he had to go forward and prove that the kid wasn't even his. So then it had to go away. This lady, what's her name? This lady is Anelia Sutton. She's a victim of abuse of the court. So she's already emotional basket case probably in the first place because everything she says she laughs and says, ha, 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 I got this one little line out of some. You want to read the whole case. You want to listen to what people say. Most of you don't listen. People come across my page and I say, hey, I won. I show you that I won with my winning court orders. And people in the comments will say, guys can't win. The system sucks, blah, blah. Are you that stupid? Do you have that much lack of self-awareness, how dumb you look? You're on a page where a guy won and I helped thousands of people win. I got testimonies that prove it. And then you're just going to sit here and say, your loser experience means nobody can win. You did it wrong. Some people just want to talk out the side of their neck based upon their emotions and feelings. This isn't emotion and feeling. You got to be willing to go to war and use logic and use the warfare tactics. Most of you are complaining that I tried this and I tried to do contempt and I lost and I did this and that. Just because you tried doesn't mean anything. It's likely you did it wrong because I did it right. Why wouldn't you say, oh, James did this stuff right and he won. I got my ass handed to me. Maybe I should talk to him and see what he did differently than me. I guarantee you did something wrong. 100% of people who call me missed out on something, if not everything. Anyway, let's get back to these guys and I'll show you what they're talking about. This lady's totally full of crap and deceptive. This guy just doesn't tell you the full balance, so it's misleading. So let's take a look at what she has to say.
Now the good one for you, get ready to take notes. You're going to want to save this one because the Supreme Court Court declared child support is unconstitutional.
Now see how deceptive that is? She said the Supreme Court. There's only one the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court. Then she admits later that it's Minnesota.
Walk with me, let me read it to you. It's delicious. Child support was declared unconstitutional in a Minnesota Supreme Court ruling for violating the separation of powers required by the Minnesota Constitution.
Okay, the separation of powers, judicial, legislative, and the judicial, legislative, I'm spacing out now, and executive branch. I had a brain fart. So the president or the governors are executive, the legislature is the legislative branch, and of course the judges and the courts judicial branch. But the Division of Child Support has their own mini fake Mickey Mouse courthouse. They don't even have a courthouse. They're not elected officials. So they're unconstitutional.
Child support agencies' actions are also unconstitutional due to lack of probable cause.
Again, agency, Division of Child Support. She's not even talking about the courthouse. The courthouse was created by the legislature, and there's laws that say they can order child support, alimony, and do a divorce decree. If you want to fix that, you go in the legislature and undo those laws. She thinks that this applies to the court, and later on in this video, she says, write a letter to your courthouse or the court case or Division of Child Support. So she's advising you what to do and to add this. And then at the end, she says, this is not legal advice. It's just education. She's telling you exactly what to do. So she's committing, practice law without a license, which I don't mind because the lawyers have a monopoly on that stuff. But she's full of crap. She's deceptive. She's a cult-leading witch.
Write it down, okay? If you're thinking, but Amelia, I don't live in Minnesota. Doesn't matter. Full faith and credit. The full faith and credit clause. The full faith and credit clause requires every state as part of a single nation to give a certain measure of respect to every other state's laws and institutions.
So she said certain level. This is why you guys got to listen to the words. A certain level of respect. Does that say mandatory? And she goes on to say every other state has to honor Minnesota Supreme Court. No, it's called mandatory authority. In Minnesota Supreme Court, it's mandatory for Minnesota District Court judges to follow that. New Mexico doesn't have to follow it. Washington doesn't have to follow it. But it's non-mandatory authority, which they may consider, and some states have adopted other states' Supreme Court or Court of Appeals decisions because one state may have went through the laws and the Constitution and they made a conclusion. They say, you know what, they did a good job looking into it. We're going to apply that. But they do not have to. And she even said a certain level of respect. She didn't say, and then she's acting like it's mandatory. She's retarded.
If the shoe fit, wear it, put it on. Put it on.
Giggle, giggle, ha, ha, ha. This makes me feel good because I got two sentences that sound good and tickle my little booty hole.
And send that to the court if you have an open active case, or to the child support agency if that's who you've been hearing from. Okay? Add the court case number or the child support case number and send it as a legal notice. But yes, you can learn how to legally close your child support case because it's in violation.
I kind of missed this. She said you can learn how to close your child support case because it's violation of constitutional rights. You can't try doing that in Superior Court or District Court. You'll get bitch slapped.
If you like this video, follow.
And it looks like those books on the bookshelf are her wallpaper. It's not really books on the bookshelf.
I got another good one for you.
So she's selling a book, and this isn't legal advice, even though she gave you legal advice. Okay, let's check out line. So he's saying, how do I
represent myself?
How do I represent myself?
I get asked this question every single day, and it's simple. Everything. I used everything that they filed against me, and I used it against them.
See, that's good. He's using every recourse available, which is good. So he says some good stuff. I'm not knocking him for being a total liar.
The order was signed by an attorney, not a judge. Violation of due process. It was signed by the deputy clerk, not the county clerk. Unlawful. The lien that they put on my name, the proof of service was invalid.
Let's take a look here.
So let's go back to this. So this was actually your child.
No.
It wasn't even your child.
No.
So it's not even his child. That's how he won his case. So he's being kind of misleading and making it look like, don't believe these people.